This is video number 37 in support of the 3D Experience CATIA software on the generative shape design application. The item that I would like to discuss is corner, and these essentially are the three modules within this tutorial that we're going to do. I start with creating a corner on a support. When you're in generative shape design, if you select the wireframe tab, there is a pull-up menu here, and one of the items that's in there is corner. Now, once you click on the corner, dialog box opens up. Then it's quite a few different kinds of selections that you can make, and it's finicky, and this is why this video may be a bit longer than I look forward. By the way, the CATIA V5 version of this uh, type of video or this video can be found in Laudan's uh, uh, YouTube channel. Okay, I essentially follow his steps, except that it's modified to fit the 3D Experience CATIA interface. All right, let's move on. I start with the simplest situation by drawing two lines that are in the same plane but different sketches. On the horizontal plane here, I will draw a line like that, exit. And on the same plane, XY plane, I draw another line, which looks like this. All right. Now we go to corner. This dialog box opens up, and incidentally, look at the options that I have is a corner on support, 3D corner, and the one which says corner on vertex. Okay, let's start with the corner on support and two lines here. So element number one is this, element number two is this, and notice that if you have a one, the support is taken by default. And if you zoom in, you see that already a circle has been created there with a radius of 1. So let me make this thing 10 so that we can see it. I mean, maybe 30 so that we can see it better. There we are. Now, this means that there are two solutions. Actually, there's four solutions you can see. These four solutions. Move these things out of the way. And you can march through the solutions. Next one, that's this one. Next one is going to be that. Next one is going to be this, and that one. Okay, now, if I say okay here, if I say okay, notice that it is possible to trim these, but let's say okay, I'm not going to trim it, and I say okay. So what happens is this is the solution that was picked. Now, if I double click on this corner again, you can go and try to trim them. Unfortunately, it doesn't work. Once you make it, it doesn't work anymore. Okay, the trim doesn't work. So let me say okay, and I'm going to delete this. Let's try it again. Try it again. Control corner. So this line and that line, and now we trim, for example, both lines, and I say okay, and this is what I get, what I'm going to get. Okay. So Control Z. All right. Now, let me go and change one of these to a curve. Okay, instead of a line, a curve. So I'm going to go to sketch number 2. That's this. I'm going to change this thing. Delete. I'm going to change it to a spline. Again, it seems that it has an intersection. I mean, they don't actually, they're in different planes, so they really don't have intersections, but let's do it like this now. All right. So corner. First element, second element, okay? And once again, you can see that there are 4 solutions here. Actually, there's 2 of them. Okay, there's 2 of them. But if you reduce this, let's reduce this thing to 10 and see what happens. Then you get 4 solutions, okay? So this, and these 2. And for example, if I say okay, it's going to take that one, but it's not going to trim it. There. And unfortunately, you can't go back and say, now trim it, because once it does it, it's gone. Yeah, cancel that. Let me delete this. Let's go ahead and do another example. This time I'm going to draw these lines, but they don't intersect. One of them can be curved, and both of them can be curved. It really doesn't matter. Okay. So actually, let me make it so that they're both curves. So on the horizontal plane, I will sketch one spline, which look like that. Exit. And on the same plane, another spline. But I make sure it can be a line, but I'll make it spline. But I make sure that they don't intersect. Exit. All right. And now we go to corner. Here is element 1. Here is element 2. And notice that 10 millimeter will give you these 2 possibilities. So for example, if I take this, I get that's not being trimmed. So double clicking on it, you cannot trim it. It's too late now. So let me delete this. I can do another one, of course. Delete it. But this one and that one. Incidentally, if you change this, if you use the arrow to make it smaller or bigger, you can see it better. Untrim, or trim actually. You're going to get this one. That was the solution. That was the solution that we asked for. Okay. Now, let me delete this because I want to do something here. Notice that there is one of these sketches. Actually, I'm gonna delete, but I will create a point in this, or create a point on the XY plane. So create a point in the XY plane. So a point like that. All right. So I have a point and a curve. Remember, earlier I did a line and a curve and everything worked fine, but now here, first element is not going to be a line, it's going to be a point. So let's see what happens. Corner. Uh, the first one must be a line or a point. So see, if I select this as the first one, then I won't be able to select this point. Let me show you. When I select this, then I won't be able to select that. So cancel that, try it again. First one, that point. Second one, second element, this curve. Now, 6 millimeter may not give you a circle here. And oh, by the way, when you select this point, this default plane is not going to do you any good. So I'm going to select the XY plane. You see that? When you use a point, that default plane may not do you any good, and it doesn't. There are 2 solutions here. You can see this one or that one. For example, if I select this, it's going to be that curve. Let me delete this. Go back. So corner, that point. I don't want to trim it. This curve. And notice that nothing happened. But when I select the support, remember, these things are all happening in the XY plane. Then I get what I want. Now you can change the radius here or make it smaller or bigger. There may be a point where it just cannot create that, and that seems to be 6 millimeters, for example, roughly 5 millimeter. You can see that, but you can do at some point. It's not going to work. Okay, so this one is fine, but when you go down beyond probably that distance, you cannot create that uh, corner. Okay, now anything that we have done here, it could have also been done in terms of 3D coordinate. What do I mean by that? Let me delete this. Okay, so I'm going to delete this one also. Actually, I'll leave it. Let me go to the vertical. Where is the coordinate system? There. I'll go to the vertical plane. Actually, horizontal, this vertical plane, and sketch on it a line, maybe something like that. Exit. So basically, we have two things. We have a line and this spline that do not have common support as for example, plane support as I had before. Now, let's go to corner. Not on the not on common support, not on support, but on 3D. Element 1, that line. Element 2, this line. And notice that we get several possibilities here. Uh, and notice that if I change this, the number of possibilities changes, and also you can trim them. But if I say next solution gives you this, takes you this one. Let me stop here. Notice that what it did, it took that curve, 3D curve, and this 3D curve spline and created the corner between them. Now, it's too late to go and trim it now, but we can always do it again. Let me do another one, actually. Let me hide this. All right, let me do another one. 3D curve. I selected this, and I selected that. Okay, and this is fine if I trim them. And this is the solution that it's going to take. If I want the other one, I'll take it. Notice that it cleans it up. Now, I could have done the same thing with uh, with the ones that we went through. Although they were in the same support, they were in the same XY plane. I could have done a 3D curve. Okay. Let's do one more. I'm gonna hide this. Hide it. Okay. Now, let me go and draw a 3D curve. For example, on the vertical plane, I will sketch a 3D spline. Exit. All right, so let's see now. We're going to do corner, 3D corner. Now, let's untrim these. First element, I'm going to try to select this point, okay? Remember, in the first element, if you want to select a point, it should be in the first element. Let's convince you. If I select element 2, you can't take it here. That point goes in element 1. And for element 2, I select this. And with 21 millimeter, you have all these opportunities. So for example, right now it's that one. And if I trim it, this one I trim, I get there. So a point and line, they can be used interchangeably, and it creates those things. Now we're going to make it a bit more complicated. Let's do things on surfaces. So on that vertical plane, first of all, I'm going to draw a spline and then extrude it. Okay, I'm gonna extrude this. Why don't I make it to 100? Let's see how it looks like. Yeah, good. Actually, what I'm gonna do is make it in both directions. Okay. So I'm going to hide this. Now, on the XY plane, I will draw two, for example, on this XY plane, I will draw two curves. So one of them is going to be this spline, or actually, I can, yeah, that spline, exit. All right, there's a spline, and I'm going to project it onto that plane. So project. Let's find the project here. Project that curve, that spline on this surface in the normal direction. There we are. And in a minute, I'm going to hide that. No problem. Okay, let's do another one. Another curve. On that plane, I will sketch another curve. For example, a line. Like so. Exit. I'm going to hide that spline, first spline. There we are. And then I'm going to project it. Project that line on that surface. Normal direction. There we are. And I'm going to hide that line. Okay. I don't need these planes. I'm going to hide them also. Hide. Okay, good, good. So now we have these curves that lie on the surface. So we go to corner, element 1, let's pick one of them. Element 2, pick the other one. And the support is that surface now. The support is that surface. The only thing is that with 1 millimeter, it may not be able to do it, but it does. In fact, if you zoom in closely, right there. Let me make this thing 20 so you can see it better. There we are. Gives you two solutions, one here, one there. And I didn't trim it. Okay. It's too late to go and trim it now. Let me go here. See that you can't trim it anymore. So let's do another one. I'm going to hide this. Let's do another one. Corner. This and that. And trim them. And then for the support, you have to select the surface and say, okay, right there. All right. Let me hide this. Let me hide that. Okay. Where are the projections? There's a projection here so that we can see it. And there was another projection right there so that we can see that. Oh, actually, let me deactivate these things. I can deactivate it. And I can deactivate that one. Was there another one? These two corners. Let's sketch that projection. There we are. Okay. So instead of having two projections here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a line, a point on that surface, a point on the surface, maybe this point, and I say, okay. All right, so that point is on the surface. These curves are also on the surface. I can go to corner. Okay, let me untrim all these. So for the first one, I can select the point. For the second one, I can select for example, this projection. All right. Now, what it did, it made actually, let me move this thing out of the way. for the support, I have to select the surface. Now it says I can't do it. Maybe with that number it can. Let's make it different. Let's make it different. Different number. So let me try uh, 10. Let's try. I have to know what these distances are to have a better idea of doing this, but let me make this thing 6. Let me make this thing 40. Ah, there we are. So you got to be careful here because notice that you have to have an idea how big these things are. And if you trim this, for example, if you trim this and you say, okay, you'll take away that one of the extra pieces right there, this extra piece goes. The moral of the story is that uh, it's easier to do it on flat surfaces because we have a better feeling for it. But everything that we did also applies to uh, surfaces. Okay, the last example that I'm going to do is to employ this create a corner on a vertex. So I'll do it in the context of an example. Let me create some sketches here. One sketch, so I use a profile to draw something like that. Okay, exit. And then I'm going to draw 2 lines uh, outside of that sketch. Okay, remember this sketch was in the, I believe, YZ plane. So I'm going to draw 2 lines, point and direction, say this point, and direction being direction X. And I give it a length of 200 so that we can see it better. That's one line. And let's do another one. For example, uh, uh, another line from this point and direction again X, or yeah, X. Okay, let me actually flip it so that it goes in the other direction. So basically we have these in a sketch. Let's see now, this is all one sketch. Okay, this is line coming towards you and that's the line going away from you. Now if we go to corner, we can have a corner on a support, corner at the vertex. Okay, now if you select the sketch, if you select the whole sketch, what it does, it puts a in this case 1 millimeter corner. So I'm going to change this to 10, see how it looks like, maybe 50 so that we can see it better. Right there, I'll actually make it 30. Good. Now because I did not check these trims, it's not going to do it. So let's try it again. Try it again. So we go here, corner event, vertex, select this, make sure these are checked, select this sketch. And it was 30 millimeter, right? Preview. And then we say, okay. So notice that it put corner at all these points. Now, if you did not want all of them, uh, let's undo this. Let me Control Z this. Okay, let's try it again. Corner event vertex. Okay, now suppose this is the only vertex that I want to do it. So select this, put your 30 millimeters and trim it. We'll do just that one. Okay. Now let's do a corner between this sketch and that line, which is going away from you. Corner, 3D curve. Uh, I don't need a vertex here. Element 1 is that line. Element 2 is the sketch. Okay. And let me make this thing bigger. And then we say, okay. I trimmed it, right? Let's do another one. Corner. 3D curve. We don't need this corner or a vertex. Element 1, this line. Element 2, the sketch. And we put down, for example, 20. So notice that this is 20. This was different one. So yeah, it's unfortunately not very user friendly in my opinion, but that may be me.